Wrestling crossed the line.
What is going on, YouTubers? It's the Natural Born Thriller, and welcome everyone to Impact Wrestling Review, the show from September 15th, 2020, with Josh Matthews and Master Ray on commentary. First of all, I just want to say I apologize for not doing this during, close to the end of the weekdays. And to be honest with you, something came up and had a lot on my, well, I was also tired too. Just to throw that in there. Um, so basically, yeah, just feeling too tired. I could have done it, but I guess I didn't have the energy to do it, unfortunately. But tried my best to try to get through this and everything. And on top of that, I wasn't I mean, it wasn't serious, but I wasn't feeling too good off to my stomach. Not saying that I had like some type of stomach virus or I threw up. It was none of that. It was just that it was one of those things that your stomach wasn't feeling right, you know. But uh but uh, um I'm feeling okay after that, but I'm still feeling too tired. But before I get to the review itself, shout out to Impact Wrestling for um opening up this edition of Impact Wrestling of September 15th, 2020, for paying tribute to Barry Scott, who was their voice over the years for TNA Wrestling / Impact Wrestling. I'm pretty sure y'all, and as I did the this introduction of the video too as well, showing the the graphics that Impact Wrestling show as well. That was just basically the same graphic that they show on the show. So I decided to do the same thing here. Basically, his one of his infamous lines back in the days of TNA wrestling, just the way he says it, the whole TNA wrestling crossed the line. That whole situation. Um, so yes, he unfortunately passed away, and um, it's a sad loss, and just gonna say, my condolences goes to his families, and rest in peace to Barry Scott, one of the voices pertains to this great sports of professional wrestling. Doesn't get talked that much. In a way, he's underrated. Pertains to everything that he's done for TNA / Impact Wrestling and other sports he's also done too, pertains to the NBA. So rest in peace to Barry Scott. He may be gone, but will never be forgotten. So what I'm gonna do is move forward for this review by not doing any plugins or tends to my YouTube channel. You know how I always do. But this will not be the review to do it. So I'm just gonna talk about the everything that happened on the show and something that didn't happen on the show, which I'll get to. Um, which I'm gonna get to right now. So let's get right to it. So after watching the entire show here, there was no um of the whole effing talk show that Rob Van Dam and Katie Force were promoting, where this episode was going to feature that show. And the whole thing was Sammy Callahan's going to probably wreck the show and everything. Nope, none of that. I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe they were running late at the time and they couldn't fit that in. I don't know what I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Um, but when Impact Wrestling advertised something, they gotta you know you know commit and and follow up to their with the advertising. And the fact that they didn't do it, it makes me wonder why all of a sudden it didn't happen. I don't know. Is people were also wondering what happened to the whole effing talk show, because I was actually excited to watch that instead of things that was on the show here that I didn't care for, or taste to a couple of the segments that they did that some of it was a waste of time and it was going to lead to nothing. Not all of it, just a few, or maybe a couple. But either way, let's get into it itself here. So yeah, so that's basically talk about that. I mean, I also go for a rant about it too, but I just don't have the energy for it to do it. So there you go. But let's move on. Diana Perrazzo and Kimberly versus Susie and Kylie Ray in a women's in a knockouts tag team match, I meant to say, where I thought it was pretty decent. In the end, it was Susie and Kylie Ray getting the win over Diana Perrazzo and Kimberly, with Susie beating Kimberly for the win. After the match, we see signs of Susie, basically is being possessed by Su Young, who's still alive within her. Kylie Ray was there to snap her out of it and everything. So I'm assuming eventually we're going to get Su Young on returning to help Rosemary to get Father James Mitchell back for this whole wedding segment bullshit they're going to be doing. But we shall see. Trey Miguel was he bumped into Ray Rajul, the X Division champion, and Ray Rajul is basically what he's doing. He's been ducking Chris Bay, he's been ducking TJP, and then when Trey goes up to him, now all of a sudden he's ducking TJ. Now all of a sudden Ray Rajul is ducking Trey Miguel here of the Rascals. So basically Ray Rajul is saying one thing and the other know that you know and we'll get to more about Ray Rajul later, but he basically says that he owes Chris Bay a rematch. He saying about he owes TJP a shot for being Chris Bay, and you haven't done anything. To reward a title shot. So Trey he'll take up on that offer by facing TJP, and we'll get to that when we get to that match. Okay, here's one of the segments that I didn't care for, but it got my attention a little bit of who ends up who ends up showing up in the segment. So sadly, Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz confronts Johnny Bravo about who's going to be the best man of for Rosemary's wedding. For his wedding and Rosemary's wedding, right? And I'm saying to myself, to Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, why do they even care who's going to be Johnny Bravo's best man? I mean, let's think about it. Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, they're both women, females. They're not men. So why do they even care of who's going to be Johnny Bravo's best man? I don't know if this is them suggesting that they want to be the best, Johnny Bravo's best man, and if they are, I don't know. I don't understand why they even care to be the best man, or let alone maybe they're suggesting someone for Johnny Bravo to have a best man. I don't know. This is all confusing to me. In a way, it made no sense. Also, we see Fallout Bob coming out of the locker room, and Johnny Bravo grabs him and says, "Oh, this is my best man." Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz, saying he came in and talking and all that, and then Fallout Bob starts talking, even though here's the thing too. Fallout Bob's been talking for months now. Yeah, the whole thing with him saying Bob is now over. I mean, he'll still say Bob, but returns to him in a wrestling match and basically gain the second win. But when it comes to segments and everything else, he's now talking, which is good. I'm glad he's talking now. But the fact that they make Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz look stupid to say that he can't even talk, and then he ends up talking. I can't remember what he said, And then Carol Hogan and Touch Steels were like, okay, whatever. Like, oh my god, this is terrible. So yes, Johnny Bravo has picked Fall Out Bob to be the best man. And I see myself, why? How? And I'm thinking to myself, is Johnny Bravo a babyface now? Like with Tyra Valkyrie and Rosemary, are they, because unless they're gonna have to Fall Out Bob turn heel later on, then is this means that Johnny Bravo, Rosemary, and Tyra Valkyrie are baby faces now. Because for a while they were for a long time Johnny Bravo and Tyra Valkyrie were heels, and Rosemary ends up becoming a heel by joining along with Johnny Bravo and Tyra Valkyrie. And then after the whole Wrestle House thing they did, now all of a sudden they're getting ready, to get married, Rosemary and Johnny Bravo. Now all of a sudden they're all baby faces. Triple XL, AC Romero and Larry D versus the Deaners, Cody Deaner and Cousin Jake. I didn't really care about much that much, but they're picking up where they left off here. Triple XL are heels. Deaners so have issues with Triple XL, and they're going at each other. In the end, it was Triple XL winning the match with Larry going from the knockout punch to Jake, Cousin Jake, and yeah, and that's how Triple XL gets the win. So there you go. Then we get to Trey Miguel versus TJP. The best match on the show here was this match, besides the main event, which we'll get to. But according to Rajul, TJP is next in line for the title shot for the X Division Championship. However, this whole thing with Trey Miguel versus TJP means if he could manage to beat TJP, he gets an opportunity next in line for the title shot. But besides all that, this was a great match between Trey Miguel and TJP. In the end, it was Trey Miguel getting the win on TJP with the diving Meteora to TJP. And yes, now Trey Miguel is in line for the title shot. And then we'll get to Roy Rajul later on, where we saw him continuing to ducking. And I'll get to more of that once I get to it. We go backstage and we see oh yeah, that's something to mention too, by the way. I don't think it was even mentioned here before either. Oh, that's happened after the match. Let me see. Oh yeah, actually, it happened after the match. So after the match, all of a sudden we see the North, Ace Austin and Madman Fulton laying out the Rascals, which is Dez and Wentz, and then all of a sudden they end up leaving. And then that's when the Motion Machine Guns came in because they're checking out to see what's going on with the Rascals. They unfortunately they can't compete, so they talked to Dr. Dr. Ross, meant to say. Who Dr. Ross is? I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine, folks. But yeah, the Motion Machine Guns are left out well partners because it's supposed to be an 8-man tag team match. Now, at first I thought it was good. At first when I first heard about the match, from a week prior from there, it was basically I thought it was going to be like a 4-way tag team match, but instead I got my information wrong and I got a little mixed up, and I was confused too because I wasn't really paying attention to it. But it was going to be an 8-man tag team match instead, and I don't know what purpose it is at all for an 8-man tag team match, but we'll get to that match later on once we get to it. But yeah, it's so basically the Motion Machine Guns are left out while while partners and all that, right? All of a sudden we get the Stone Cold tag team. You got Stone Cold, Carl Anderson, and Big Stone Cold, Luke Gallows, or Doc Gallows. That's basically what they come across to me, folks, because just the way they drinking beers and the way they're dressed, it's basically they're basically like the Stone Cold of tag teams. But it basically was the Good Brothers, and they suggest to be partners with most machine guns, and that's ended up being what happened. Rich Swan, he calls out Scott Demoy, but first he talks about what happened with the whole thing with this whole vengeful attack of on Eric Young, how and Rich Swan you know is talking about everything that he put him through and all that. And also and then this when he calls out the vice president, the executive vice president, excuse me, folks, Scott Demoy comes out, says that even though that this conversation was supposed to happen in the office, it's Scott Demoy talking, he would rather do it in the ring. Now, actually, I don't know if Scott Demoy may have said this or Rich Swan said this, but then this is where Swan told Scott Demoy that he wants to fight Eric Young despite his career-ending injuries. Scott Demoy reminds him, I meant to say, that he is not medically cleared, but Rich Swan starts saying that he will be ready by Bound for Glory. So yeah, and I knew something like this was gonna happen after when Rich Swan made his return, where it's gonna be leading Rich Swan versus Eric Young. Now, at first I thought it was just gonna lead Rich Swan and Eric Young wrestling each other, which is to like a no rules match, a street fight, anytime match that involves no rules. But I didn't think it was gonna be for a title because I didn't think that Eric Young was gonna be champion, leading to Bound for Glory. But you know what? This is great. It's just a way of Impact Wrestling's way to pull over Rich Swan by having him, by having Eric Young put over Rich Swan, become new Impact Wrestling World Champion. I'm all for it. Anyone but Eddie Edwards, especially with Eddie Edwards' dumbass gimmick of his. So Rich Swan says, let me continue on, reminds him that he has been the only one who pinned Eric Young since his return and making him worthy for a title shot. Scott Demoy says, no, sorry. Rich Swan continues by saying, Scott Demoy needs to put himself in his shoes about this whole, what will you do? Scott Demoy is about to respond to it. Also, Eric Young comes out and gets in the ring. And he tries. Basically, I think he tried to go Rich Swan on the way, but then he shoves down, Scott Demoy, and also I think Eric Young went to Rich Swan, and then Rich Swan fights back at Eric Young, which leads to Eric Young retreating. And let me remind you, folks, Eric Young is retreating from a one-legged man in a leg brace. Eric Young this game ridiculous, but Eric Young is is being is retreating, backing away from a fight from Rich Swan. Well, he took care of him before, but now all of a sudden he can't take care of him now, because this time Rich Swan is now aware of his surroundings. So Scott Demoy gets on the mic and he grants Rich Swan the opportunity against Eric Young at Bound for Glory for the Impact World Title, and it's all set. So there you go. Ty Valkyrie asked Rosemary to be at ringside for a match against Kiera Hogan. Rosemary wants to help, but she has to resurrect the demon wedding minister, which is Father James Mitchell. And Johnny Bravo can't do it because they're busy doing something with the wedding thing. So Brian Myers versus Waymack again. Or this time Waymack won against Brian Myers because an exposed turnbuckle protected Brian loss of losing to Waymack. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So the only reason why Brian Myers lost to Waymack is because of a exposed turnbuckle that he exposed himself, and he ends up getting the end of it. I'm trying to remember how you say it, but the point is he ends up ends up backfiring and then he ends up getting it. So about the sirens. So as I was saying, it failed on his part because it was supposed to be meant for Waymack, but then he ends up getting hit from it, and Waymack got the win for that. But hey, he got the stunner on him to get the win as well. So stupid. Brian Myers, really, we're protecting this guy. Rosemary goes to Havoc, and she pushes away Nevaeh, and basically needs her help to revive Father James Mitchell. And like, Havoc better not agree with this, and she didn't. And I see myself finally some common sense here. So Rosemary is trying to get is trying to to convince her to bring her back because she's getting married. But Havoc got furious and all that and starts attacking Rosemary, and like good. But at the end of the day, I think eventually we will get the return of Father James Mitchell, but I don't know how. Maybe with Su Young returning. It's gonna be a disaster, folks. Moose confronts Scott Demoy about the whole thing with EC3 for stealing the title, the TNA World title. Scott Demoy tells Moose that he's making up everything in his head when it comes to the mind games. Being played by EC3. As soon as Scott Demore walks away, we see messages sent from EC3 to Moose. So Moose makes a phone call to the demo god. Yeah, I should know where I'm going with this one, and ask him how to handle the situation when his title was stolen, just like his title was stolen, even though it wasn't really stolen. But then he thanks him, and for the advice and everything. And he says next time the bubbly is on Moose. So I'm pretty sure I could guess who Moose was talking to on the phone, even though that makes no sense because how he has connection with Chris Jericho, and does Chris Jericho even know who Moose is? Whatever. But let's get back to the whole thing with Scott Demore talking about Moose, saying that everything that you're making stuff up is all in your head. When this mind games played by EC3, I'm wondering if that's supposed to be EC3's character. That his character is that he's playing mind games with Moose, and only Moose is imagining EC3, and someone like Scott Demoy and whoever else in Impact Wrestling don't know what Moose is talking about. I'm referring to EC3. Maybe they think that Moose is gone crazy and everything, and it's supposed to be EC3's character. I don't know. To me it's all confusing and everything, but I guess we'll find out about that. Eventually how the character develops more of EC3. Rhino sneaks Heath into the building, and to execute a plan that will earn EC3 some money for his campaign of hashtag Heath for Impact. So there you go. Caleb with a K is conducting a photo shoot for Tina Dashwood, and I'm assuming this is supposed to be the heel turn or the new character of Tina Dashwood that was supposed to do months ago before the whole pandemic happened, and I'm not gonna go through all that again. We're changing to how they skip past that and all that. But I thought she could have new music and everything, new look, new ring attire. But no, she came back. When she came back, she was the same thing and everything. And then when the pandemic came around, she was gone. And then when the pandemic cooled down a little bit, all of a sudden, you know, she comes back with the same music, but she's a heel now. She's been a cocky heel, and she's doing the whole thing where she's doing a photo shoot and everything. And you have Caleb Conley, who's back right now, but he's just called Caleb with a K. Whatever. But Jordan Grace interrupts the photo shoot and tells her that the next Impact Wrestling show she's actually gonna show up because this time she's gonna compete against her in the ring, which is scheduled. So she has no choice but to show up this time and actually work. So we'll see how that turns out too. Watch it's gonna be she had to reschedule something. I don't know. We'll see. Kier Hogan with Tasha Steelz versus Taya Valkyrie with no one at ringside for Taya Valkyrie. So the match happens. Taya Valkyrie was kicking Kier Hogan's ass. But then later on, Tasha Steelz gets the upper hand on Taya Valkyrie while the referee was distracted by Kier Hogan. And Kier Hogan got the win. So after Kier Hogan, basically Kier Hogan was, look, just by how the match looked, she looked like she was losing the match. She was going to lose until Tasha Steelz got involved. Great. But hey, Kier Hogan won, right? Yeah. What's it's going to mean at the end? Absolutely nothing. That's what's going to mean at the end. Rhino challenges Hernandez to an arm wrestling match again. Only this time he was playing possum to distract him for Heap to steal the money. And that was it. And Hernandez had no idea that his money was stolen. And there you go. This sucks. This is trash. Trey, I mean not Trey. Ray Rajul, the X Division champion, is being confirmed by Chris Bay, and then he gets confirmed by TJP, and then he gets confronted by Trey Miguel, and basically, I think it was either Chris Bay or TJP. One of them says you've been ducking us and all that and everything, and then Trey suggests a three-way match between Chris Bay, TJP, and himself, and Warner will get to face Ray Rajul for the title, and Ray agrees to that, and then walks away. Now, make it back to this whole Ray Rajul thing. This whole thing with Ray Rajul for being on his own after no more of the Death Hit Squad, is that he's been aching and begging and praying Impact Wrestling for an opportunity to give him a chance, give him opportunities, to be to show what he's made of, and he finally does, and he finally becomes X Division champion, and now he wants to be the type of champion where he doesn't have to defend the title to anyone. And his the whole thing is that he's gonna be ducking people, just he could could weasel his way out of a time match that he just want to give out to. I don't get this at all. I think it's stupid, and I think they need to do a lot more better with this. Now, unless they want to do the whole thing with Rajul is not defend the title of retains the whole 30 days, one title shot a month. That's it, that whole thing. Like the whole thing with Ty Valkyrie did. If they were doing something like that, maybe I would have liked it. But no, they're not doing that at all. They're doing this whole thing where he's ducking, all these X Division wrestlers getting opportunities for the X Division championship. So we'll see how it's going to lead to. I'm assuming it's going to lead to something for Bound for Glory. Someone even suggested from the panel that they should do a 4-way Ultimate X match for the title at Bound for Glory. Not a bad idea. How they're going to do it, I guess we have to wait and see. Not saying that's going to happen, but I wanted it to happen, but we have to wait and see. And finally, the main event was the North. All Eagle into Page and Walking Weapon Josh Alexander, Ace Austin and Madman Fulton versus the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, and the Motion Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, who are the Impact World Tag Team Champions. And this match was fantastic. It was great. Highlights. Page assists Alexander with a hanging DDT to Shelley. When I say Page, I mean Ethan Page. Fulton hits a normalized suplex on Shelley after he attempted to make a big tag where Chris Sabin was reaching for a tag, and the Good Brothers were not available because I think they were knocked out on the apron during that time. Shelley is getting beaten down as his opponents cuts off the ring and prevent him to making any tags. Yeah, and they were doing that constantly too. Saban has seen enough and delivered some kicks. Deliver a kick, I meant to say, to Ace Austin, and which allowed Alex Shelley to get back on track here. He hits a back suplex and tags Carl Anderson. Page gets sent for a ride with a huge spine buster by by Carl Anderson. Excuse me, I was gonna say R. Anderson. Doc Gallows with big boots to Mammoth Fulton off the apron. The Good Brothers attempts for the Magic Killer on Page, but Alexander breaks it up. Chris Sabin takes out the North with a top rope crossbody. As the match turns around to chaos, yeah, this match gets picking up. It's been pretty damn good. The act, and also in the North, do their double neutralizer onto Alex Shelley. Ace also makes a tag, basically tags himself in the match, and steals the pin. So yeah, your winners, the North, Ace Austin and Mammoth Fulton. And here's the thing with this too, both sides of the teams we're not sure, to tag in or to work together with the teams. For example, Motion Machine Guns were not big on teaming up with Good Brothers, where it pertains to teaming up with them and tagging them, or even it was a confusing situation there where they're not sure if they could be trusted. Same thing with the North teamed up with Ace Austin and Man Fulton. It was that whole thing, where they were not working together that much, and they end up working together, but they still end up being ends up being a little complicated, as it goes by. But yeah, that's basically what it was. But the match itself was great, and there you go. Tomar Wrestling for the show. 6 matches. And my overall rating for the show for Impact Wrestling, the show from September 15th, 2020, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with an 8 out of 10. Despite some things that on the show I didn't care for. There were some matches that I did care about, and I say some matches, not all of them. Some and there was some segments that I did care for too, and I say some, not all of them. So I'm gonna go with 8 out of 10. But with that being said, thank you all for watching. For It's Natural Born Driller, saying peace on the streets. So you all stay well, stay safe, take care of yourself and everything that's going on in the world. Wear your mask, love one another, God bless one another, live in peace and harmony for us all. And I'm out here. Ta-ta for now, because for the honor of the late Barry Scott, this is TNA Impact Wrestling. Cross the line.
TNA Wrestling, cross the line.